So every single African is part of the African problem, okay? Because, yes, Amy said something very important. The people that are leaders, that we call our so-called leaders, who are just there to enrich themselves, and we all know that, they're going to continue to enrich themselves because it benefits them very well, okay? The West is not going to shy away from that. They're going to promote that as much as possible because that's when they can also enrich themselves. Okay, our people that are just within the system, the individuals within the system, the poor people that we are fighting for, those will be the same ones that will expect some kind of a compensation or some kind of a bag of rice just so you can vote for them. It's an investment. When these politicians come and campaign and give us money, what they are doing is saying to us, here is some money that I don't have. I don't know who gave it to me, but when you give me that job, whatever I'm going to do first is going to get that money back from you. So when these people come and campaign and give us cash and give us money and give us clothing, whatever it is, and you take it, you are also helping them to be corrupt. So our parents, us as parents, have to educate our kids to have self-esteem, to believe in themselves. They should be aware that hard work, there should be reward for hard work. But with Africa, the harder you work, as Coach said earlier, the poorer you get. So that system has to change. We have to give people credit where credit is due. And then we have to penalize people, like checks and balances, like Amy said, for actions that they do. We say we are ready, but we are not mentally ready to change Africa.
Yeah, what you just said, Jay, is profound. And that is the fundamental issue. And that's where the honesty and integrity comes. There is a saying that we used to say in Wolof, palma manjering la ak palma matani la dafa am. Like, vote for me to benefit you or vote for me to benefit myself. Not everybody or opposition government truly believes in what they are doing. Maybe their opposition to such government is so that they will be able to have an opportunity to be part of that government. And I think you really nailed it. And that's where it is. We have to also have the capacity and the capability to look at politicians when they come before us and determine whether those that are coming before us have the prerequisite leadership that we need to run our country. We cannot just settle for anybody that just gives us food to eat or bring the drums and all these things. But we have to be able to look at somebody, judge somebody's character, and ask them questions, look at them in the face.
I think our responsibility as people who expose and people who, are experienced, right, is to actually go back and educate the masses who are less fortunate to be exposed like we are. You see, I think sometimes when you talk to people, just like I think one of our shows we did this, you cannot just come and tell someone you can't vote for this, but not dive deep into giving them examples and as to why and what are the consequences when you do these things. How has it benefited your life? Like, how has your life changed since you voted for these people giving you bags of rice? Like, people, the bottom line is we as people who are exposed and experienced need to take charge, go out in these trenches and talk to these people and educate them and help them out and give them the knowledge in order for us to move forward as a continent.
That's easier said than done, right? Let's just think of, let's say, a large family of 5 or whatever the number is, and maybe they're making less than $1 a day, and then you're going, and then they know that if they go to these politicians, they're able to at least get a bag of rice, which can help them for a month, which if they were actually doing their regular farming, it may take a very long time for them to get that money to be able to buy that rice. So you're going to that person and telling that person, without giving them an alternative and saying, hey, you shouldn't be voting for this because you should look at it long term. If you step back too and look at Africa as a whole, or even Gambia, and usually it's not just like the poor people that are voting these people, it's like the regular people that are voting these people. We see somebody maybe like that's outright a straight shooter, and we know that this person can leave the country, but we tend to not focus on that person, and we tend to vote for another person. And I don't know like what psychological thing makes that happen, but that's usually what's happening in Africa.
Well, I totally disagree with you, because these are people who are also part of the country, right? No matter how poor they are, and no matter how much you think because you go there and you don't have the bag of rice and you're trying to convince them, that should not deter you from going to actually having the conversation with them. You're
But
going
it's
to
not practical. I disagree with you.
Hold on. It doesn't matter. You see, I might be as broke as a church mouse. Don't even have food.
What option are you giving them, Amy?
But hold on. But hold on. This is the deal. Now, I don't have any food on the table to eat. I come to you and I ask you a question. We have had 3 leaders so far in this country. Okay? Every leader that came gave you a bag of rice each time they come to campaign. How have your life changed with all these 3 leaders in these past years? Now, think about it. If that bag of rice is just going to sustain you for 1 month and your life is still going to be miserable for the next 10 years, choose one. When I give you that option, you will tell me if you're going to want to. I will take your rice and eat it because you are a fool for coming to bribe me. And when the elections come, I do the right thing. And that's why it's good for us to educate these people. And I'm advising you, if they come and give you a bag of rice, take the bag of rice, walk away and vote for who you think is the right choice and that's going to change your life.
Then you're promoting corruption, right? Because they're giving that bag of rice. It's money of the government.
What do you expect from your sister?
It doesn't matter. African leaders are going to be corrupt. American leaders are corrupt. You cannot take away the corruption out of it. Now, it's your duty and your responsibility to know and have the integrity of knowing what do I do that's right.
If I was still in the village in Yamina, the Sohadugu, right? I would be just the same person that will take the bag of rice because that's where my exposure and the civic education, that's where it stops, right? So therefore, what I'm saying is because you are exposed, you know ABC is this, and they don't, right? And so if you go and knock on their door 2 times and tell them, they are still not going to get it the same way you and I or coach and every viewer that's out there watching, that they're going to get it the same way. They're not, because you have been nurtured and been exposed to things since perhaps maybe way before you came from the Gambia, from high school, when you came into the US and you started seeing things and you started believing and seeing that things need to be done differently to have a different result. So for me, it's not a practical solution.
It is a hot button issue. Here's the thing, there should be a balance. I remember when Wada defeated Abdou Diouf, there was this song that Uza came with. And his advice to us was, if they give you a bag of rice, take it. If they give you a gallon of oil, take it. But when you're voting, vote for your interest.
Thank you.
That was his philosophy. But the thing is, it all comes back to education. And our leaders have refused to educate our people because they don't want them to be aware to the extent where you can come to them and they'll say, you know what, I don't need your bag of rice.
So should we say civic education?
No, it's key. You see, if you look at Singapore, I remember in the 80s and early 90s, Jawara had this Singaporean dream that he was going to transform the Gambia into Singapore. Singapore had its independence on the 9th of August, 1965. It was about almost 6 months or so after Gambia gained its independence.
Mm-hmm.
It has no natural resources whatsoever, nothing. But today, I think their GDP is over $2 trillion.
Wow.
And they have no natural resources. But what they did after they gained their independence was to ensure that there was education in the country. If you look at the numbers today, 95.7% of their women are educated, about 98% of men are educated in the country.
Wow.
They focused on education and they were able to transform their country, which was poor, just like all of us. Only difference is we have natural resources. So they had no material production. They are not doing that because they don't have that. But they were able to use their port to become the center of attraction for trade. Everybody comes there. They were able to do that. There is something that some of these Asian countries have that we do not have. Well, they try to educate their masses. And secondly, corruption, you get the death penalty for the most part. You know,
that's a bit extreme, though. You wouldn't like that as an activist.
An example, it's extreme. But again, look at corruption too, the effects of corruption. Because the effects of corruption is the reason why our women are giving birth at hospitals and dying from this thing, childbirth. It's the reason why a lot of people are dying because they cannot even have medicine for their diabetes. It's the reason why our road, everything that is killing Africans today is as a result of corruption. We have reduced Africa into the producers of raw materials. We have all the raw materials. Even the cell phone that you use, you are able to use it because the material has to come from Africa. The food that you eat, you are able to eat it because it comes from Africa. You look at, let's say, the Gambia, for example. We have our ocean. The EU came to us and told us that we are going to pay you 500,000 euros every year so that we can fish tuna. You know how expensive that is in this country here. So we don't have a problem with it. You say, oh, that's fine. You do it, and it is supposedly our leaders who are entering into these agreements. So we have to first educate our people. Second, be led by people who are not only knowledgeable, but have the integrity to do what is required of them, that is to work in the interest of the people. If we have the right leaders who are characterized by love for country, patriotism, and integrity, Africa will move from producing raw materials to processing those raw materials, thereby making us the marketplace for all the needs of the world, because we are capable of feeding the whole world based on the natural resources that we have.
And Coach, you're absolutely right. Like if you go to a country like Guinea, right, and you go in deep inside their villages, it's beautiful. So much green, so much wealth, but yet still one of the poorest countries in Africa. And even Mali. You go into Gambia, between Senegal and Gambia, Casamance. Nature has done so much for these countries. Like you said, the natural resources. But those are yet still the poorest countries. Look at Congo. All the coffee in the United States, most of it comes from Congo. Go to Congo, in front of the clubs, they have kids at night begging because they need to feed their family. The kids are feeding their families, the mom and dad. It's horrible. It's very sad. So where do we go from now? From what Coach said and everybody says, what are the solutions? What are the practical solutions we could literally start to look at as Africans and bring an end to these devastating effects that we've had from slavery to now that is still going on?
So just to add to what Coach said about education, right? I think that's one of the key practical things. You could say that a lot of Gambians are already educated, but do we have like the right type of education that will get you into that mindset where you elevate yourself from thinking self all the time, but maybe love for country, which I think is something like, that's one of the key things I think that help in terms of like their progress. There's a lot of love for country. Whereas if you compare that to Africa, it's usually about me. What can I do for me, myself, right? Instead of looking at the overall picture of the country. So I think education, but maybe putting the right courses of education, maybe the civic education in terms of showing kids at a young age that you have to have like love for country.
Patriotism.
Yeah, exactly. Patriotism before love for self. So I think that's one. The other thing is we have to be willing to sacrifice, because we can't just go from like where we are now to, let's say, Singapore without people sacrificing. So Coach mentioned about like Singapore, how it has the same year as Gambia in terms of independence. If you look at Korea, it's very, very advanced. That's where Samsung, the company Samsung, is based off of. I was talking to a friend that's actually from there, because I was trying to figure out like, okay, how come we Africans can just get there? Like even a country like Korea, it's not that old. They came from like a very, very brutal war and all of that. But now, like if you go over there, I think ways of living or their quality of living is even actually better than the US. And they were able to achieve that through a lot of sacrifice. And what she said was that a lot of the businesses, they actually will go to the government and say, hey, we want to invest in X, Y, and Z. Once this is profitable, we'll give the government of the profit. And so a lot of the companies are actually doing that and helping the government, because they knew at that point the government did not really have those resources to be able to build the country. So a lot of it was like being sacrifices by like business people in the country.
You were saying to go to the government and talk to them. Korea did that. It worked for them. Unfortunately, Africa, look at our own country, Gambia.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's education, right? You can just jump from.
Okay, they educated first before they.
Exactly.
So do we have another 200 years going before we can fix this?
No,
another 200 years.
200 years. That's not how long it took Korea. But you have to start from somewhere.
I cannot disagree with any of you here in terms of the education, the civic education, but who is in control of this educational system? It is the same people that we don't trust, because it is not in their best interest for our people to be educated. So who are we going to give that to take responsibility to educate our people? I think it is us, the people that are more knowledgeable, the people that are more aware. So I think we all have responsibility. How do we move forward? That's the question that you asked. We can organize ourselves within the diaspora, commit to ourselves and say, every single person within the diaspora come up with $200 and create a system like a banking system or money transfer system. Through that system, we can organize an organized firming system where you would hire people, give them salaries, and then when there is profit, at least 5% will go towards education. You don't take that 5% and give it back to the government.
I hear your solution, and I know we are towards the end of this segment here, but knowing our people, right? And that's why I said the solution that Ole was given might take 200 years before we get there.
You can sacrifice that $100 and contribute it towards an organization that can build your nation.
Where I'm coming from is not even the money part of it. During the struggle, the money was the least of our worries. The biggest problems, at least with the struggle, the Gambia, was people coming together. Coach, is this true or not true?
Well, yes.
So practically, where I'm going with this is,
which is still the same problem, Juka, is the selfishness.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Because we're so selfish that all we worry about is ourselves.
Right.
We cannot even trust Coach to let Coach lead. We all know Coach is a great leader. We all know Coach is trustworthy. But because of my selfishness, I want to be in power. Everyone wants to be in power. So instead of trusting other people to be in control,
so then that solution you gave, there'll still be a roadblock if we want to do it today or tomorrow.
And that is why people have to trust themselves to trust other people.
So the basic thing, I think what Jay is saying is sacrifice, because if you're able to sacrifice, you will be able to just let go of any selfishness or thinking somebody else is dishonest.
Right. So then that will lead me to Coach to say, are we all saying that civic education is where we start from before we end this segment and move on to the next segment of this show? And if you're watching, continue to comment below. And what do you think is the solution to Africa's problem? Where do we start from everything that we talked about in this hour?
Very well. I like this. And I think Juka and Jay, pretty much we are talking about the same thing. Because if it is coming together, bringing your monies together, that's coming together too. Unity, in unity lies our strength as a people. And I also believe that we have the capacity as a people to be able to solve our problems. The only problem that we have in solving the problem is that most of our people think about themselves. If you look at Africa today, look at Rwanda. Everybody talks about Rwanda. Rwanda is great, what the guy is doing, but there is an underlying problem that they end up undermining the whole progress that is. Yes, there is a lot of developmental problem, but development has to always go hand in hand with democracy and liberty for all. Because as long as you see yourself as the only savior for a country, and this is where Africa has had its problem for a very long time. Because you look at Kagame, in everything he did, he decided to change the constitution so that he can run again until 2032 or whatever. That's a problem, So people have a tendency to monopolize development, to think that it is only they and they themselves who can change and guide a country. It's not your country programs, but what has continued to be our problem is leaders who continue to lead and do not want to go. We've seen it in Guinea, we've seen it in Rwanda now. Not only the time limits, they would in fact go and change the constitution. And they would do it at the detriment of the stability of their country. So they would want to lead to the extent that they will not even mind for people to die. So as long as we continue to have that, Africa will continue to regress.
Yep.
All the countries in the world that develop are countries that continue to have change in leadership. You come for 5 years, 10 years, you go, somebody else would come. Nobody has monopoly on ideas. And I believe that unless we go past that level of where an Adama Barrow thinks that he has to be president for 15 years, or Yaya Jammeh, I'm not going because I'm the savior of this country, or Alpha Conde, I'm the only one who can run this country, or Kagame, who is doing great in terms of infrastructural development, economic development, but politically you cannot continue to jail your opponents, kill your opponents, just so that you will continue to run a country because you believe that you are the only person who can run that country. And I believe unless we change that, Africa is going to continue to wallow.
I totally agree until we all forget about our own self-interest and think about the benefit of the people, then we cannot move forward. And I think that's great.
That takes us back to civic education, right?
Integrated. Changing ourselves, our minds, our hearts, the way we think, the way we act.
Amy, your heart is not here. Your heart is here.
No, the heart, the minds, right? Wherever the heart is. Listen, the mind controls the heart, right? So everything is here, right? But we have to change the hearts, the minds, the way we think, the way we act. We have to be resilient. When I say no, I mean no, and not even my dad is going to change that. In order for Africa to move forward, the leaders have to be principled and be ready to see our people and just our people and take away from self-interest and enriching ourselves and our people and stop taking our families to the West when they get sick and our people are dying in the local hospitals. We have to now start electing leaders and selecting
Amy
leaders
for president.
Who care?
Okay.
No.
Now let's
who care for us and who care for the people and who care for us and not their own pockets. So Africa, stop away from tribal politics, from family politics or whoever. If my dad wants to start today for election and I know he's not capable, I am coming out and I'm telling you that he is not capable. Period.
And I'm probably sure you probably wouldn't even vote for him against Halifax.
No. Because I know he's gonna give all the money away.
I wouldn't be voting for him either because he will definitely be giving the money away.
He will give all the money away and buy yakihar and just barbecue every single day.
Right. He'll give away every dime that he has because he's very giving. Which is probably not a good leadership skill because you have to be able to say no.
No, it's not.
Yeah, he's very quick with the hand in the pocket. Maybe it's just all talks, okay? When it comes down to it, I don't know.
No execution.
Ole, I'll vote for Ole as the president. Moms, I would. Dr. J, I would. But damn, that's gonna be a tough.
Because you know you'll be going to jail, that's for sure. If you do anything wrong, you absolutely will be going to jail. That's a fact.
Coach, would you vote for Jay?
I will. Just that second, I will not seek for a second time. Just got me. So yes, I will.
Hey, Coach, be careful. Adam Abaro said that too.
I am not Adam Abaro. I am not even close to Adam Abaro.
Coach, would you vote for Amy?
Yes.
Hey, Coach.
That's my final sister.
We have had a really great conversation. I think this was a fruitful opening of this series. Thank you so much, Samba Jow, Uncle Coach, for being here with us and opening this series with us. If you're watching and you're very versed in African affairs, go ahead and send us your bio on our email, or you could DM us on our Facebook page and see where we can fit you in this series when we have these conversations. It's called Building Africa, and today was the opening of the series, and we just had to take a deep look at what is the problem in Africa and how do we build it. And of course, we had to lay out the foundation first, as Coach put very well in the beginning. So go ahead and comment below. Let us know how you would build Africa and where do you think exactly the problem is and where you would start with building Africa. And on that note, thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Let's keep on keeping on, and we'll be able to build the Africa that Africans deserve.
And hope to have you again as this series continues. It will be here at least once every 5 weeks. Look out for a new show on Building Africa on the Sister Show platform. So now let's move on to the Hot Soup segment that you guys all been waiting for. And of course, the Hot Soup segment is a segment where we collect and bring you all burning topics that are happening around social media as well as the news. So stick around and we will have now the first one that's been cooking on social media. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but let's go ahead and take a look at this video. Let's listen to the audio and then we'll be right back to discuss it and see what you all think. Don't forget, comment below and continue to share this video to spread the information that we are sharing here. Let's take a listen, and then we'll be right back.
You even speak about Trump as a president when your own country in Nigeria is whack. And what I'm not understanding is you had to migrate just to live and have some money and have a decent economy. You had to migrate all the way to America, and now you're saying Switzerland, but then you want to talk about my president. Don't talk about my president. Worry about yourself. Yo, I hope you helping your people back home. I hope you didn't just leave them high and dry, because Nigeria's doing real bad. You could never speak on my president. You can't. That's the problem with these foreigners. We come here and y'all hear the fake news, and then the first thing y'all want to do is insult Americans as if we listen. We don't listen. We Americans love our president. Maybe y'all don't see that. Maybe y'all don't like it, but who gives a damn? He ain't y'all president. He's not president. And then you say, you know what?
I said, pull back your mask off.
We leaving. Let's pull us over. We leaving. Talk junk about our president, but yeah, you in Switzerland. Please. We don't want to be in your filthy cab. No, don't worry about us. Go back to Nigeria. Go back to Africa, where your country is trash. Your country's trash. Go help your people in Africa. About the African continent. Let me put some things in your ear real quick. First of all, the African continent is dirt poor. You got maybe about 10 countries, if anything, that just got Uber. And that's a big deal, okay? Africa, most of Africa, the continent, is third world countries, okay? You got people in Africa killing each other left and right. Their presidents are straight up communists, and they're not socialists. They don't give a damn about you. They don't even want to do that. They're straight up communists. They're taking what they can for themselves and want you to pay for it. And Homeboy's not even a Swiss native. He's from Africa. He's from Nigeria. Yeah, now because he done got cute, he done went from eating bowls of porridge every day in a hut with dirt floors to now sitting in a decent apartment. And so now he done got a little fancy, and he think he can talk junk about Americans. But buddy, don't ever forget where you came from.
So now, as you guys all heard, the hot soup that we just heard that was cooking there, obviously this lady is very angry. She is from America. She's African American. And this whole thing unfolded in Switzerland, of course, behind a taxi cab that she took, or an Uber that she took. The driver was a foreigner in that country, just like she is in that country, right? What do you all think? What went wrong? This was a crazy one. I don't even know where to start. So you all tell me what you think.
That whole conversation was very disrespectful towards the continent itself. Even if it came from a Caucasian person, a Black person, to me, it doesn't matter. We should all respect different people regardless of where they're from.
Yeah, of course, what she said was like completely crazy, disrespectful, disgusting. You could use all the words. But to me, like, she's talking about Trump, I'm guessing, right? If this was another president, then I could kind of like at least try to make sense of why she was upset. But the whole world knows Trump is crazy, right? So I don't even like see the point of like why
the whole world knows Trump is crazy. No, that's not factual, because people put Trump in office, right? If we disagree with him, and I disagree
not the
with
world, not people around the world, people in America, like some people in America put Trump to the office, but around the world, everybody, almost all the countries kind of are looking at America now as a laughing stock because of Trump.
Yes, I don't agree with her, the way she, insulted, like Jay said, insulted the whole continent because one conversation she has with someone that she disagree with. But then was that about patriotism? Because she was defending her country and her president. That's what she said in the beginning of the conversation, or at least on the tape that we listened to.
That has nothing to do with patriotism. Being a patriotic citizen comes with responsibilities and having respect for others, right? Just as Ule says that she is not in support of Trump's behaviors, right? Doesn't mean that she's going to sit here and insult him and chastise him. And you can disagree with someone in a very respectful way. I have my opinions when it comes to Trump. But what did the driver say that got her so upset? And I don't think whatever the driver says should have led her to get that upset. But there might have been something said from the driver that got her to get that upset.
The lack of respect, you said the lack of
respect.
respect.
Right? But at the same time, that doesn't warrant her to kind of come back in that manner and then insult a whole country.
Personally, I think she was dead wrong. That is already established, I think, among all of us. And hopefully, if you're watching, you're commenting below about what you think about this video. If you think she was right, you could say it below too. When you read the comments on the video, people are also saying that the guy, the Uber driver or the taxi driver overstep his boundaries. When we are doing business, we mix it with pleasure. We start talking about politics. We start having conversations about everything. So is it okay to talk about politics when you're servicing someone, or you should just be quiet?
Maybe because he was just trying to do small talks, being that the lady is from the US. And like I said before, the whole world is kind of like, the US is kind of like a laughing stock right now because of Trump, right? And so usually when you travel overseas, most people that are overseas, the first thing they talk about is like the US president, if they found out that you're a US citizen or you live in the US. So Trump is a subject of discussion in many places. She could have made her point, because she does have like some points in there, but it's the way that she addressed the issue and the disrespectful nature of how she was talking to the guy and telling him to go back where he's from, etc. That was kind of out of line.
And I think to Juka's question as to, are we supposed to bring up political talks, especially if you're in a line of business where you have customers with your client? As the one who's giving the service to a client, I wouldn't start the conversation, But if you start a conversation that is quite political, I work in a field where I see thousands and thousands of people every single week, right? But then again, I live in Texas, which we all know is more of a Republican state. So with those two incidences, you have to also know that there are people, like right now, if I open my window, all my neighbors have Trump 2020 signs up. You have to understand how to basically live in this kind of society and how to navigate around. As a client, you come to me and say, oh my God, I cannot believe that people are going to vote for Joe Biden, yada, yada, yada. I'm the one giving the service. I don't feel the need to engage myself because I know this thing is going to walk me up to an extent. I'm not just going to be like, oh no, you are wrong, blah, 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 and just have a whole fight. I think I would just probably just nod my head and just keep it moving because I know this is a conversation that's going to walk me up. Not saying that you're not supposed to engage in it, because normally they tell you at work and everywhere that two things that you cannot talk about is religion and politics.
It may be that the Uber driver just assumed that being that this person is Black, because most people kind of associate Black people with being a Democrat. So he must have thought that this person is a Democrat and just by that. Right. So he made the wrong assumption. But not all Black people are Democrats.
I'm in a business the same way. I see a whole bunch of different people that believe in Trump, people that voted for Trump, people that are diehards of Trump. And they always come up with these conversations about politics. All I have to do is listen and say, very interesting, and move forward to mine.
You don't discuss politics when you're in service.
I don't discuss politics when I'm in service. You can have your opinions, and all I have to do is listen. If she did not agree with what the guy said, all she could have said would be, I'm really sorry, that's not my view about this guy, about Trump, and that is my country, and he's my president, and we respect the office, not necessarily Trump, but we respect the office, and move on with the conversation. You don't have to cuss or insult a whole continent. It becomes a racial issue if that was a white guy that had said that, or a Caucasian, however you may characterize the color of their skin, it would have been a whole bunch of rage from everyone else. So just because she's Black and I'm Black and she has that insult against Black people, that does not make it right.
I feel like every time you get into an argument, right, with an African American, there are jabs that are taken from both sides. Whether you're the African, you take jabs. Whether you're African American, you take the jabs. Whether you're saying you African Americans are this way, or African Americans telling Africans, and this happens a lot. I don't know if you guys have experienced it. I have experienced it before. When someone actually say you Africans are this, you Africans are, and I think that's so hurtful, especially when we all believe that we all come from the same place, especially even white and Black. We are all human race, but particularly the Africans and African Americans. We are all Africans, really. We all came from the motherland. So I think that we should try to uplift each other.
Just because you believe in one thing does not necessarily mean that I have to just I just have to throw jabs at a whole community. I believe that we are all born in whatever we believe in, and people are gonna probably chase me with some bullets and knives with this, but just like some of us, sometimes, we think that being a Muslim is just only the right thing, and if you're a Christian or believe in something else, like is the wrong thing, right? When we were just born into a religion. So we have to be mindful. We cannot be God and create the laws and kill the people and tell you where you're going to hell or heaven. We just have to be mindful with our words. We are all just born into our beliefs, and we just are born also into believing that we are Republicans or Democrats.
What do you think about the fact that she said foreigners? Because I feel like maybe this is something that she says often. So she's in a foreign land. She's a foreigner there. But she said, you don't know these foreigners.
So she probably forgot that she was not in the US anymore, right? And she could have actually made her point, because there's some terrible African leaders out there that are even worse than Trump, right? So she could have taken it from that point in terms of, hey, you guys also have like bad leadership. Like, why is Africa still not developed?
Obviously, we all disagree with what she said. That's already established, like I said. Now, we are also pointed always, everywhere we go, as Africans this, Africans this. This is the reality. If we're being honest, we have to keep it 100, like Amy said before. Maybe our leaders are failing us to a point that everyone always points at us like Africa is dirt, Africa is that. Remember when Trump himself said the S word about Africa, right? It hurt, but then it's like, how can we take so much offense to it when in fact there's some of it that is also kind of true, that our leaders are failing. What do we have to say about that?
And Trump doesn't have any right because the whole continent. Africa is Africa because the West created Africa to where it wants to be. Now it's up to us, like you said, to find the reason why we need to move forward so everyone does not call us as dirt or do something different. So there's a whole responsibility. If we want Africa to be not dirt, then the West needs to step up and stop being hypocrites. The reason there is corruption in Africa is because it's supported by the West. There's at least about $500 billion that's taken away from Africa, especially in the Francophone country, that's taken to France.
Of course, we've all acknowledged that Africa has a lot of issues, a lot of developmental issues, etc. But you hardly ever go in Africa and find like homeless people, right? Even though they say that Africa is trash, it's poor, but at least we take care of each other, right? There's a sense of family. The US, why isn't the government taking care of all those homeless people? So there's a lot of issues between both continents. I don't think just jabbing and telling people, oh, you came from trash. There's a lot of good things in Africa. Yeah, we do have our challenges. We do have development issues, but so does the West too.
Ole just did a clap back there. So what we'll go ahead and do is jump onto the next hot soup and salivate on that. Now she can go ahead and salivate on what Ole just said. We also have a clap back on this show. We forgot to mention that on top of the hour, so stick around for that. It'll be a quick clap back. You don't want to miss it. I think these sisters are ready to give their clap backs. Okay, so what's the next hot soup that's cooking?
So the next hot soup, should companies actually dig into people's social media platforms before they get hired or when they are looking to hire them?
I don't think companies should look at people's social media. It's their social. It's not a company media. It's social. It's their own personal lives. So they shouldn't look at social media before they hire anyone. I don't think they should.
Companies will look at your social media because that's a more advanced way of doing background. Like previously, companies would, before they hire you, they will do some type of background, depending on what type of work it is. They will call family, friends, etc. But then now they even have it easier and it's cheaper. Just go and look at the person's profile and see if that person's fit into your company's culture. So it's a responsibility of us to know what we post in social media.
I totally agree with, because social, non-social, whatever you call it, it's called background check.
It doesn't say background check. It says social media.
No. Listen, why are we doing a background check? You doing a background check to check the credibility of the person you're about to hire, to trust them in whatever you're about to let them do. This is the perfect background check you can do. So people need to take responsibility.
How is it a perfect background when you're already telling people to take the responsibility and everybody knows that they go and check social media? So you're contradicting yourself. Wait,
no.
I am not. You consciously know that they're gonna check it, so you're gonna make sure all the time that you are the perfect angel, when in fact you might not be.
I am not contradicting myself. What your way of life is not something you can pick or choose and do today and skip tomorrow just because people act stupid. They go to the clubs and they act crazy. They use drugs. They That's your normal life. You cannot tell me you've never used drugs before, and then one day you're just going to use drugs just because you wanted to have fun.
You didn't hear my point, but that's okay.
I still heard your point. I am saying that social media is the perfect way of checking someone's background, period.
Just because people know that companies are going to look at social media.
You're going to be on your own. Number one, I have gone through someone's social media that I was supposed to hire to look at their work and see if they posted their work. And I wanted to know what their social activities were. And do they know anyone in the industry that I know that I can probably get in contact with, because I don't want to use their reference. Number two is I was hit by a drunk driver, a hit and run. And when the police report came, I actually went to see what they looked like and who they were. And my easiest way to get them was to actually go on Facebook and search for their name. And guess what? I found out every single information that I needed to know from them. If you're watching right this second, you don't like it, you agree with me, or you don't agree with me, the jobs are going to get into your social media. They are actually doing it right. Hold on. They're actually doing it right this second that we're speaking. Let me tell you something. Even the embassies that issue visas are getting into your social media platforms. And what they do sometimes is they actually ask for your password and log in right then and there in front of you to do it. I know people that they've done this too, and they're actually doing it. So if you are watching and you don't like what you post and you're posting stuff that you probably know for a fact that might affect your life, go ahead and delete it, because social media, like Jay and Ole said, is the easiest and the fastest background check.
And not just one, also like if you're being investigated for whatever reason. Like I've had that, whether it's the FBI or whoever's, the first thing they will do is they will actually check to see whether you have a social media or not. And you know what, actually, if you don't have a social media in this day and age, that's like a red flag, because they feel like, oh, you're hiding something. And then the next thing they do is they're going to look for people that are within your circle and look at their social media activity and what type of activities they are engaged in.
And Ole, just like the hush puppy case, if you're watching and you're familiar with that case, the easiest and fastest way that they were able to get Hush Puppy and got his address and every single detail about him was actually from Instagram and social media. The FBI were following him on social media for the past 5 years. So you just have to be careful. No matter what you do in life, I think you have to be responsible. You have to take responsibilities of your own actions. If you're someone who sit on social media and fight every single day, you have to take responsibility of those actions. If you're someone who go and scam and take your money and flaunt it on social media, you have to take responsibility of those actions. I am a social media fanatic. Like everyone who knows me knows I am social media 24/7. But trust me, I know exactly what I'm posting and why I'm posting it, and I have a reason to post every single thing I post.
Okay, so on that note, I'm gonna skip my kitchen here and come over to your side of your kitchen and eat the soup with you guys for the first time on this show. Hallelujah. So no, you guys are right.
Also, one other thing, since we're talking about social media posts, people have to be like very, very cognizant in terms of their security as well. But there's certain things that you post, like it's like a gold mine for hackers. I could call out like a couple of pages that I've been to, and I'm like, whoa, like this is kind of like a daydream for a hacker. They could just go literally and steal all of your information, especially people that post information about their kids, saying like their kids' date of birth and saying the name of the kids. That's like the hackers already got all that information, and they can literally like build a new profile and build a new person and build a credit card information around that person.
Wow. And then also when you talk about security, I'm really getting to that side of the kitchen to really eat that soup with you guys now. The bell is ringing, ding, ding, ding. Okay, when you say security, even like, what about if you're a girl, right? And everywhere you are going, you are snapping, or your location is on. If somebody wants to do something to you, God forbid, but we are just saying, if somebody wants to stalk you or whatever, those are the easiest ways someone can actually come. I think it's really, really kind of scary, the era that we live in. And if you're watching, just to be responsible, even though I was sitting on one side eating the soup by myself, I was just saying companies should not, and I'm still gonna say, companies should not do it, but that's not the reality. This is my own fantasy, right? The reality is if you're watching and you're young, very cognizant, be very careful what you put out there on social media of your life for job and security reasons.
When you talked about security reason, I think there was a lady that was actually robbed because of the fact that they knew that she was not at home, because everything, she had her location on everywhere she went, she had it. And she was showing when she left home, when she's coming back home, blah, blah, blah. So they were able to go into her house and rob her. So there are things that we do that we don't pay attention to, but it has some real bad implications at the end of the day. So we should.
So the key is make sure you turn off your location on your phone from your settings.
You can post however much you want to post. You can post where you are and all that stuff, but your location on your phones need to be turned off. People do not need to know where you are. The only people that need to know where you are is your family, your loved ones.
Since you're the social media queen, what about, is this a better idea to wait until you're done with whatever is happening before you post it? Because if you are watching the Jay-Z concert and you say, I'm at the Jay-Z concert right now, if somebody, even if you turn off your location, right, that's giving out information. And also so you can enjoy exactly what you were actually living. Because if you live your life on social media, that moment, that moment, I feel like you wouldn't have the time to really enjoy the atmosphere of what's going on.
So that's the ideal thing to do. Do we do it? No, we don't, right? But again, I'm just gonna be factual, right? I don't, and a lot of people that I know, they don't. You post in the moment because things like Snapchat is in the moment, right? The ideal thing to do here is to just turn off your location. If I post that I'm at a Jay, hold on. If I post that I'm at a Jay-Z concert, I'm just at a Jay-Z concert. My location is not in the post. I could be in a whole stadium, but you will not know what part of the stadium I am in.
It's twofold. Like Amy said, it's the reality that we're living in with all the technology. It is what it is. But yeah, the first precaution is turning off your location. But like Juka said, if you say you're at the AT&T Arena, and if these people are really like trying to rob your house, they know like what time to get to your house because you're not there.
Maybe just come to the side of the kitchen and let's eat this soup together and salvate.
I mean, the honest truth is there is risk in posting every moment that you're in. But hey, life itself is risky, right? I'm not saying that post every single detail, your house address. You would never see me post anything that is going to show my house address or show the street address or anything. You would just have it, because this is for security reasons. There's this family that actually have a YouTube channel, and they've moved so many times because every single time they move, someone is going to find their location.
Wow.
Right? And they have become so big now that they have to make sure that they live in a private gated area. But again, that just tells you that people would know. If people want to make effort to know where you live, there's nothing you can do to stop them from knowing. Now, again, turning your location off, making sure that you're not showing too many streets like on your pages. These are things that you could do to avoid it.
The only person that's safe within all of you is the one that does not have any idea about social media, and it's myself. Actually, I do not turn my location on.
No, you're not even sure. I bet you if I look at your phone right now, you did not turn your location off.
Every time I go onto Google, it will ask for me to turn on my location, and I deny it. That's how I know it's off.
Look, Amy.
I'm a rookie when it comes to social media, but I'm not a rookie to know things that are supposed to be turned on and off.
So I think the key thing is just making sure we be careful in terms of like what's being posted out there. You do not want to post your kids' names. You do not want to post like the date of birth of your kid, because those are like too critical information that that's like the easiest way to steal people's information.
Well, I guess on that note, I went to that side of the kitchen, like I said before, and Amy did come to my side, but you didn't want to, but you should. Okay, comment below, what do you think are the riskiest things that people do on social media, and put it out there so perhaps somebody that's watching and reading the comments might also be careful of those things, because yes, it has to, we talk and we make light of it. It is also information that we could all learn from, hopefully. And we will move on to the last part of this show, which is the Sisters Clap Back. Yes, and we are gonna clap back today. Let me put my pen down. Jay, who are you clapping back with over there? There was this guy on our social media, and again, we love everyone, but we just gotta clap back. I'm just saying. So this guy said to us on our video, we are all disabled because we're not covering ourselves. Dr. Mams is the only one that covers herself in the family, so she's not part of this clapback.
I think he's more disabled than we are because he's judging us. He's not God. He shouldn't be judging us, and that make him disabled.
So literally, the guy really said that, and he's serious. He said, "This is the biggest disability that you guys have." I'm not quoting verbatim, but this is what he said pretty much. And you guys should go ahead and cover yourself. In the eyes of God, you guys are all disabled.
I'm not sure if I agree with him just because we don't cover ourselves, we're disabled. But as human, we all have some sense of disability in one aspect or the other. There's something we're not all perfect. That's all I can say. So the only perfection is with God. And thank you, brother, for thinking we are imperfect. And we agree we are imperfect for sure.
Exactly.
My clap back to him is that he's thinking that we are disabled because we're not covering ourselves. But the key thing is that's between me and our God. I think the biggest disablement is judging other people or talking about other people behind their back. I think those are some key things that we should all be wary of. But what I do between me and my God, that's between me and my God. And
I will bring a veil and I'll cover myself. Because he's right. He has a point. Maybe we should be hijabs just